So, Nick, were you asking what people's happy place is, or what their aspirations would be to do if they had unlimited funds? I'm confused.
Yeah, no, I was kind of going the wrong way with the unlimited funds. Here it is, okay? When are you the happiest? What moment, what scene? And I'm giving the example of me hiking Mission Peak in Fremont. When are you the happiest, no matter what's going on in your life? You may have just had a tragedy. You may have just had a horrible up at work. You may have some sort of drama with somebody. What's the thing that you do that all that shit falls away?
Well, can we go beyond kids?
Yeah, because I don't have kids, so I can do that easily.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, because it's like I could feel ill, I could be on my deathbed. My kids will make me smile, and everything is forgotten about.
So, I very much want to get back to the kind of travel I was doing for just a little bit. So there's a lot of responsibilities at home that do put a block in front of that, but I'm working on that issue. And what I remember the most vividly from Half Dome was not even just the minute that I got to the summit. I was absorbing everything and looking around and thinking, gosh, I just did that. And Jeremiah, it was his 17th time up there. And so he knew what was going on. He knows me. He's known me since we were kids. And he grabbed his phone and he turned the camera on me. And he goes, how do you feel? You just did that. You walked through the woods and you climbed up that. How do you feel? To this day, I still have that video. To this day, I do not have words to describe to anyone else the emotion that came over me in that moment, because I literally broke down into those chest-heaving sobs trying to talk. And it was 100% unique. And so for me, it was the sense of accomplishment, which is not something I have a lot of in my life. And it's when I say that,
Keep going.
well, when I say that, I mean the kind of accomplishment that's something that theoretically you can't do that. Scientifically, you shouldn't be able to do that. Lots of people saying, be careful, take it easy. Don't push yourself too hard. And all you're thinking the whole time you're training for it is, if I don't fucking push myself, I'm not going to be able to do this. So you all need to shut up. And, I mean, I got to that point where I just had to shut people out because it was all of these hangers on from my past in the quote unquote support groups from lupus. The people who are stuck in their recliner have resigned themselves to that and the television and handfuls of pills multiple times a day, trying to tell me, take it easy. And I was like, I am not going to take it easy, because if I die doing this, I will know that I was absolutely true to myself. And at the time, I didn't know about C.T. Fletcher. And then, along about 2022, this other person comes into my life who rebuilt himself based on what C.T. Fletcher teaches from his own experience, where his doctor said, if you go out there and try to lift that, you're going to die. And he said, if I die, I die, but I'm going to die doing what I do. I'm not backing down from this, because that is no way to live. So for me, it is that sense of accomplishment through every single challenge that has been thrown in my path that I've kicked out of the way, everything that I have fought my way through, all of the naysayers, all of the doctors who said, don't do that or you can't do that. That moment, I want to experience that again. And I haven't had anything quite that profound since Half Dome. Mount Baden-Powell is kind of that thing for me, but it's local. And I kind of touched on that 2 years ago, the last time I summited, when I did it without any medication in my system for the first time. no opioids, no aspirin, no acetaminophen, not my gummies, nothing. And it was slow, and it was arduous, and it was challenging, and it was, I got to stop and stretch every 5 minutes, and I got to pay attention to what my body's telling me. And yeah, it was painful, but I did it without any medication. And so that's the person that I'm building myself to be able to take on these challenges without just dipping myself out of my gourd so that I don't feel the pain. The pain is there, I'm going to feel it, and that's okay, as long as I'm not causing an injury. I'll be happy with less pain. That's a good thing. That's part of what I'm working on. But nevertheless, those painful moments, they can go along with that sense of accomplishment. And I want to get back into that so badly. I want to do Manitou Incline in Colorado. I want to do Angel's Landing in Utah. There's all of these things that are missed opportunities, things that I didn't do when I was younger and my body maybe could have handled it. And then there was the time frame where my body couldn't handle any of it. So that's what I want back. For me, the best moment is that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Hold on real quick. That's worth a clap. The one thing that came to mind is, as a lover of good stories, you're saying, you missed the time when you were younger and healthier, when you could have done Angel's Landing, or I forgot the name of the one in Colorado. But it's going to be such a better story when you do it now, with all the trials and tribulations in it. It's going to be such a better story, and it's going to hit so much harder when you hit the top of that mountain. So that was.
I second this. The power that comes from you speaking right now was people telling you can't do it, your body telling you can't do it, science telling you can't do it. All of that adversity stacked up for what I was hearing, and that sense of achievement. I mean, like, if it's hard to do, that bliss when you do it is also magnified. So I think, the adversity is probably an amplification.
That's a good word,
On
Bliss.
when you achieve that next.
Yeah, that's a good word, bliss. That's close. And this ties into that weirdly less than 2-minute video that got such feedback. And it was that realization that no, I didn't miss anything in life. I feel like I did. But yeah, I've been exactly where I needed to be. This class has been in session, and that's really all that's been going on in my life, my entire life. When that hit me the other day, I'm sitting in my car going, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's literally what happened.
You made me reframe Nick's question. You made me reframe it, because I'm like, where would the bliss be if I had everything I needed? Where would that sense of achievement be? If it was all easy, why the fuck would I get out of bed?
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. And I told Nick that there was more around that than just a 2-minute video, and it was this. Kyle has been sending me certain video clips over and over for 3 years, and they just don't.
You can block him or report him if you want.
They just don't always.
Or send them on to Tim.
They just don't always sink in right away. And
Whoa. Too descriptive.
shut up. and it just it was like the light went on. And then the next day was when that scene from Facing the Giants hit my feed in Instagram, and I went, oh, because I hadn't seen it in a while, and he used to send me that one. And it's with the coach screaming at Brock Kelly, don't you quit. Don't you give up on me. Give me more. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, wow. And I watched it again, and it just came into focus for me in my head. And I realized Kyle is the one who has been down in the dirt with me screaming, don't you quit on me. And I went, oh, because he's going through his own battle he still has some after effects from the stroke. And he literally said to me at one point, I put this in that second video, but I said, why do I have a feeling you're about to start pushing me? And he said, no, I'm not. I'm about to start pushing myself. And I'm dragging your ass with me because I am not going through the suck alone. Now, that sentence is the most precious thing anyone has ever said to me in my entire life, because he was telling me I am not leaving you behind. And this is where our running joke came from, that I'm the reason he had the stroke. And that's not too far off from reality if you believe, like I do, that the universe brings things to you when they need to be. Like, he was the person who could go through a massive stroke and not die and go home in a week. And so he took that moment like an opportunity to walk me through his recovery and show me what I need to know to be able to live this way. And that is, there's no price tag you can put on that. That changed my life.
I kind of feel like anything I have to say at this point just like kill the space.
Yeah, nothing new there, Nick. Nothing new there. Leave it to the experts. I'll take over.
Cold.
Old, honest truth. Yeah, I'm going to disappear. But I just wanted to say, I think you have been given a gift that most people may not get. Is that gift of capability, that gift of realizing and saying, yeah, everybody else said it, and the fact that you internally said that and were proved right about it, that showing that you're possible of something greater, that inner belief for when you go to that next summit, that for me is amazing to have internally. I've had struggles and stuff like that, and come out the other side, and I feel like whatever the world throws at me, I already know what I'm capable of, and I know that I'm capable of more than I believed I was capable of. And I think you also know that you're capable of more than other people believed of you as well. Like, that kind of just opens up endless possibilities for you. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's who I am now, for sure. And you guys have seen that metamorphosis.
Oh, we've been looking.
It's been me creating, once I got into the AI art, it's been me creating the images that, those are me. I mean, I didn't like any that didn't have actually my face. I like using the one in Instagram because it knows my face. But it's been me putting the image in front of myself. This is where you need to be. This is who you are stepping into. And I've known that, but I needed to be able to look at a picture. That's just the way I am, like, more than what's just in my head. And yeah.
I'll make you one like that.
But yeah, this is
With like naysayer zombies and stuff like that, and people in doctor's coats
oh my
chasing you
god,
while you're running up a mountain.
this I gotta see.
That's so good.
But I went into last year saying this is my year, and it felt like everything fell apart. And then I got to this year and went, okay, so maybe this is it. And I'm realizing last year was the classroom, so it really was my year.
This is your moment, Tala. This is your day. Every day.
Shit, Nick's gonna sing.
Thank you for listening to First Light Warrior Podcast, empowering the savage, not average mindset, and a no excuses lifestyle. What you were listening to was a conversation in an X space with the Writers Therapy family group back in April. My friend Dave has some very intriguing insights at times. And I don't think I've ever been described that way before, as having the gift of capability. But I couldn't disagree. I see myself in a different light now, and partly thanks to the friends who have given me the gift of seeing myself through their eyes. It took me many years to see and accept my own strength. Other people could see it, but I was stuck in the mindset of being focused on things that had been taken away from me rather than the end game that would come from all of these challenges. I've taught about challenges and the rewards, but I didn't see it clearly. I think that my idea was the reward was surviving it. There's more. There's so much more than that. Surviving could be as simple as hanging on by your fingernails and dragging yourself through it. I've been there. Surviving is sometimes all you can manage. But once you do that, what is the gain? The gains. We talk about that in gym culture, gains. Well, what about the rest of your life? I find that to be the more important point. And so I've been on this journey of self-discovery and figuring out who I am supposed to be and stepping into that role. Because without doing that, I have no means by which to pay it forward for the beautiful mentors who rescued me when I was in the worst place in my life. And what is lacking in today's society is an abundance of hope. Without that spark, without that idea that there is something better waiting for you, what will make you wish to fight? What motivates you without that? The hope for something better. And so I take it as a very personal responsibility, not only to maintain my physical health and nourish a healthy mindset for myself, but also to be a leader by example. Because if I don't present myself as the individual manifesting those things, you're not going to hear anything I have to say. You see, I would not listen to someone who has not been through my level of illness and disability. What could they teach me if they have not been in my shoes? Being that I have been in these shoes for a long time, you will now know that I am not confused about what it's like to be in constant pain, to be fearful that my life will be shortened significantly. You know that I have experienced the fight back from extreme inability and limitations. I've said this before, my starting point was a wheelchair. From that to the top of Half Dome under my own power is a pretty amazing trek. 2006 to 2019, age 52. And guess what? I'm going to do that again at age 58. And I will not stop until my body physically is incapable of performing those tasks. If I have to go slower, I go slower, but I refuse to stop. If I were to quit, I'd be breaking a promise, and I'm not doing that. And what would you think of everything that I teach and of me as a representative of the community if I did that? It's not happening. So catch me next year on the top of Half Dome again. That's happening. In between now and then, I have a lot of training to do because I need to climb back out of where I slid to. Life happens, you guys. The last 5 years took a lot out of me as well. I'm not immune to that. The world has been a difficult place. Sometimes we take too much of that into ourselves. Sometimes you need to step away from focusing on what's going on with politics, what's going on in the news, what's going on in the world. Let that be what it is. And remember to work on yourself. I've had to do that. I'm having to do that more and more. My apologies to those for whom I no longer have so much surplus time. Friends, messages in DMs, X spaces. I've narrowed it down quite a bit. Maybe I'm not following as many people on my lists. I can't because I cannot consume that much online content. I am a content creator. I'm a teacher. I'm a motivator. I'm a speaker. It's more important that I produce material that is beneficial to others who are struggling where I used to be. So if I reduce it down, don't take it personally. I've had to narrow my focus. I put that out there because it's entirely possible that someone else listening to me needs to do the same. My friend Dave could tell you a lot about focus. Mr. Focus Fuel. Check out his content when you get a chance. My plans for this year and last year have had to change and change again and shift and pivot and adapt and change again. And I just had a huge change that happened last night and this morning, but it will be okay. If you need to change your direction, if you need to change your focus, do that as many times as is necessary until you get it right and all of the flags are green and you know it's the direction to go, whether it's scary or intimidating or difficult or painful. You will know if it's a green flag or a red flag. And don't ignore those red flags. I've done that a few times and it never works out well. So what I'm saying is find your path of capability. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. As my dear friend in Siberia would say, it's simple. And Kyle would back that up as well. It's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. We're not looking for easy. If you spend your entire life never lifting more than 5 pounds, how strong will you be? It's not delegated to me to only lift 5 pounds with the challenges in my life. They're not little. They never were. And I have nothing in my future to anticipate anything being easier. That's not how it works. The difference between 2025 and 2022 is I can now accept that is what my path is. This is who I am. The longer you fight with that, the more disruption you will have in your life. You can be in utter chaos in circumstances, but have a calm center within you and know that it's going to be okay. Things will work out as they should. Which is not to say that they will always look the way you believed that they would. It's not to say that it will be exactly everything that you want on a wish. But if you set your intention on a worthy goal, yes, you can make that happen. Even if you have to adapt. If you have to adapt, do that. But a worthy goal with intention and working the steps, it will eventually manifest. So for me, that's moving forward with speaking, moving forward with the podcast, looking forward to the launch of Jade AI, moving forward with editing my film. Lots of projects. Moving forward with all of the amazing hikes that are on my bucket list. Those need to be checked off. I probably should do most of them before I get to my 70s, right? My 60s are only 2 years away. That's kind of ominous. See, we don't live in infinite bodies, so there are certain things that we need to fit in while there is capability. And then when I get to the point where I truly have to slow down physically, I'll figure the rest of that out. But right now, my current biggest overall picture goal is I want to be in the best fitness shape of my life by my 60th birthday. So that's 2 years away. Sounds like I've got my work cut out for me. And my buddy Dave over there just mentioned the gift of capability. If I have that, I guess I better use it. What do you have in your life that you may not be using? And can you demonstrate more gratitude for it by putting it into motion? That's a question you need to answer for yourself. And let me tell you, July just started. We're halfway through the year. I got a lot to get done. Before we know it, the end of the major hiking season window will close again because I am not a winter mountaineer. So I've got a few months to get a lot done. And then once I'm not on the trails, I still gotta train. Because next year, I really have my work cut out for me. And that's not an unhappy thing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm happy and I'm excited about where my life is going. For the first time in quite a while. So let me ask you this. Where is your bliss? What is the thing that makes you feel like I felt standing on the top of Half Dome, realizing what an accomplishment, and I am so proud of myself, and I am so filled with joy that I don't have a word for this emotion. Where do you find that in your life? And if you don't have it and you've never experienced it, ask yourself somewhere on the inside, what is the answer to this question? What do I love? What would I love to have in my life? Did you find anything? If you didn't, find a quiet place and figure that out. And then light a fire to go after it. Because you got one shot at life in this body on this planet. The timer is ticking. Don't put it off. Some opportunities do not come back around. Go after it. And you know what I'm going to say. Stay savage.